Welcome to the Waldorf GridIron Club Podcast, your home for all things football at Waldorf University, the best small college football experience in America. Hosted by Andy Buffington and me, Troy Thompson, from the secret gridiron bunker beneath Volsdorf Field. Now, let's meet the captains of today's podcast.
All right, welcome to the Waldorf GridIron Podcast. We got a couple exciting captains tonight, or this afternoon, or this morning, depending on what time you're listening to it. And that's up to you. And listen to it not just once, but many times. Oh,
Any
sure.
time of the day.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So we've got Jimmy Bates. Unless you look at the Waldorf website, it says James. Mm-hmm. James, and that's a strong name, Jimmy. And we also have David Warren. So Jimmy, he's a linebacker, number 48 for the Waldorf University Warriors from Van Cleve, Mississippi. Not too far off the coast, right, Jimmy?
Yeah, it's about 20 minutes north of the water. So 20-minute drive, I'm on the beach.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier this week. So you were number 12 for Van Cleve High School, the Bulldogs. You were a linebacker and a fullback.
Yeah, so the whole deal behind number 12, I always kind of took some crap from that. Why are you number 12 being a linebacker and fullback? But Tom Brady was my favorite player growing up, so there it is right there.
So that's why you grabbed number 12.
Absolutely.
And
I had such high
There was something else.
Yeah.
Like in Mississippi, there are no rules when it comes to the numbers on the football field.
Well, I was a quarterback my freshman year, like
Okay.
everybody is,
Okay.
you know, and then making that transition.
Yeah.
But I wasn't.
I was not. Were you a quarterback when you were freshman year? I was not a quarterback.
I was actually a
lineman?
fullback.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, they moved me to fullback because I had wheels and I was a big guy.
Wheels.
Wheels, yeah.
Yeah,
I had.
fast guy.
I used to run the 100 in high school.
Sorry.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
Jimmy,
yeah.
I
I probably ran a 16, 17 second 100.
I mean, right in there. I mean, lickety split.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So one of the interesting parts is, and I want to talk to Jimmy about this a little bit. When you were a senior in high school, you were the number 9 nationally ranked 4-star from Scout Trout. Was that what was the deal with that?
yeah. So Scout Trout was, his name was Murph Trout, and he was a smaller, you know, he wasn't as big as ESPN or Rivals or anything
Sure.
like that, but he would travel all around the country, basically living out of his car, just trying to find guys that were underneath the radar, that you wouldn't really hear about if you didn't get a lot of exposure, through not being able to go to camps or stuff like that, you know, not having transportation. So he was trying to be the road warrior and go find these guys. And we happened to meet one day, I think at the rec fields. He was holding some kind of 7-on-7 out there, and I just went up and started talking to him. And we got to know each other, started training, and yeah, so
He had he had a lot of good things to say about you, on Scout Trout. And I guess I'm not going to get out of my head the fact that you said he's living out of his car.
yeah. Well, basically, he wasn't actually living out of his car, but it seemed that way with how much he was traveling, you know, all over the country. He's always on the go.
Sure. So your senior year, you were second team all conference down there in Van Cleve, and interesting enough, second place in your weight class your senior year in powerlifting. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So, like Iowa has wrestling, Mississippi has powerlifting. We actually did not have a wrestling team in the whole state until my senior year. We had Ocean Springs, who started it off, and they gave themselves state championship rings, being the only team in the state.
Of course, yeah.
But yeah,
Just as well.
powerlifting is definitely part of the culture down there. As soon as you roll out of football, you either go to baseball, and you do powerlifting as well if you can.
Okay. So then after high school, did you go to Sterling right away out of high school? Is that right?
I did.
Sterling College. You were a Warrior back there. You were a tight end, number 86 for the Sterling Warriors.
Who else? We had somebody else from
Juan Collymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so interesting enough, Tawan and I met there. He was older than me. He was an older classman, but me going in as a freshman, you know, they say you make connections, you start networking as soon as possible. And So me ended up coming here, and I was able to, Juan decided that he wanted to leave Sterling, and I was able to kind of put it together for him to come over.
So where did Pearl River come in down in Poplarville?
Right. So when I left Sterling, my high school OC, who coached me at Van Cleve, his name is David Chatham. He took the O-line job at Pearl River, and I had called and told him and spoke with him and said, I'm thinking about leaving. I want to try and bounce back, go JUCO, and see what all my other alternatives are as far as football. So he said, come on down. It was kind of a split-second decision. It took a lot of thought, but I had to be down there January the 8th, and I think I drove back on the 7th from Sterling, Kansas to Poplarville, Mississippi.
That's a haul. How many hours is that?
17.
Oh, that's nothing but a Sunday drive.
It's very north to south state, Mississippi, too. You get to the top and you think, well, we're here in Mississippi. You got a ways to go.
It's a drive.
Yeah.
It's a big state. Beautiful state. And I'll tell you what, Jackson, Mississippi is one of my favorite towns. It's a beautiful, beautiful city. Absolutely. You spend a lot of time in Jacksonville?
I don't spend a lot of time in Jackson.
Jackson.
No, I'm more of a out in the country kind of guy, so we have a few big names down there. People don't realize that we have Elvis, we have Brett Favre.
Yeah, well, I recognize
Brett Favre,
Elvis
course.
and Brett Favre, for sure. I think they might be the same person. Hey, did you see Elvis after Brett Favre came on the scene?
I can tell you right now that I've got some personal knowledge that Elvis Presley is alive and well and driving a snowplow in Wisconsin. Yeah.
Witness protection.
Not a
right?
snowplow.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a snowplow.
I think what it is, Andy, because this would be my perfect government job. And you and I both know when it comes to government jobs, there's a lot of good ones out there, but this one would be the best. The state of Wisconsin hires people to plow the snowmobile routes. In the little snowcats.
Groomers.
The groomers.
Yeah.
That's their job. I mean, how many of those guys are got their little cooler beside them? They're on a tracked vehicle. They're not on the road. They're in the middle of nowhere.
Got some spotted cow in the cooler.
They got exactly that.
So David Warren, this is an interesting story. David, big number 38 for the Warriors. He's going to be a tight end this upcoming season, which is pretty exciting. And former linebacker.
Yes, sir.
So he's making the big switch.
I'm actually pretty happy that I can play offense, real. Defense is kind of fun, but it's like you don't have your own identity. It's all together.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
So offense, I can go score a touchdown, and have my own identity. But if I go make a tackle, it's just a group effort at that point.
So a little bit of history. Did you go to Mojave High School?
Yeah, Mojave.
Was that the Rattlers?
Yes, the Rattlers.
Wow, the Rattlers.
Yeah,
that's a great name.
That's a cool one.
That's a tough one.
Orange and green uniforms.
Yeah, I saw that. And you were number 15. You played both sides of the ball. I mean, you're the Iron Man. How big of a school was Mojave High School?
I think our graduating class was 800.
Oh, a lot like Fertile.
Just a little bit bigger than what we have anywhere around here.
Yeah, it's not huge. It's not like Cali or Florida or anything like that.
No, but similar to Mississippi, probably.
Van Cleve was how big?
We were the biggest 4A in the state my senior year, and we had 700 and some.
It is similar.
Yeah.
But one of the things I want to talk about, David, is that he's also a track and field athlete.
Oh.
Throws the javelin for Waldorf. You were all conference. You got second overall at conference. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm a 2-time all-conference javelin thrower.
That's huge.
That is awesome.
I started 2 years ago.
So you just
You
started
had
throwing
never
javelin.
thrown the javelin before,
Never know. Javelin's illegal in Las Vegas for high school track.
down the road, 15 years from now. Somebody attacks your family, and for some reason you're in a place where there's spears. I don't know where that would be, a museum perhaps or whatever. Yep. And then they run away.
I get a
there you are.
Shield and a javelin.
Bam! I love it. Yeah, I think about that stuff all the time. I will tell you that I do think in terms of the zombie apocalypse in some things. And I will tell you that the fact that you are a javelin champ, you can come on the compound anytime. This guy, he can make it for sure.
Anything from 52 meters in, I'm a hit.
Oh my God, that's amazing. 52 meters, that's 150 some feet.
52-97. Yeah.
So is this a Greek thing? I mean, did somebody? How does one think? We could take that spear and see how far we could throw it.
Well,
I think it started with rocks first.
Yeah.
Rocks. Isn't that shot put?
Well,
Look, if there's one thing that people are good at, it's figuring out how to kill each other. But in part, that is how football came to be.
True.
We talked about it in the previous episode. Civil War veterans said, how are we going to make our sons grow up to be killers and not actually have to kill people? So they created football in the Ivy League.
And javelins.
And javelins, prior to that, I'm sure the Greeks were like, Lenny over here can only throw a stick 8 yards. And
do you suppose the Greeks actually used the empirical or the?
I don't know.
Suppose they used yards, or was it meters back then as well?
Oh, there's probably in the Bible something or something like that. I don't know. Some
how many
other
cubits? How many cubits?
Yeah, how many cubits?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's to my understanding that the Greeks were spearing each other for quite a while, yeah. And then so maybe they were just.
If you could just be the guy that could throw, I was like, listen, Bob over here can really throw that spear a long ways. Like, we need Bob on our team.
So, David, how does one?
I think there's a lot of.
Did you throw javelin in high school, or was it just kind of like, you know what, I'm going to come to Waldorf and
He didn't. He
I
said
know,
it was illegal
2
in Las
years,
Vegas.
but still, then it's like I think I'm going to throw the javelin.
some underground javelin throwing going on in Las Vegas.
Ooh.
Did you walk through the underground bunker of the Waldorf track and field program that I know that they have? And it's like a CIA deal. And they're like, choose your weapon. You can leap over they all have Russian accents. You leap over these hurdle things. And then there's all these things you can do, like you can throw the cannonball or the whatever the discus is. Nobody even knows. And then you're just like, that looks cool. What's that?
So how I started, so in high school, I did long jump, triple jump, 4x1, 4x2, 2-time state track champion.
What?
And that, yeah.
In what?
In what?
In what, 4x2.
We both say it like we don't believe him.
Exactly.
In what?
I've seen him run. He's got wheels like
Yeah.
crazy, but it's
4x2,
like.
we lost the 4x1, literally.
But yeah, track and field's a big deal. And did in Van Cleve, was there a lot of track and field, or was it all just powerlifting?
No, there was a lot of track and field. It's just that was at the same time as baseball season. So
That is around the same time as baseball.
Well, Jimmy, you look like a baseball player.
I used to be. I've been retired a few years.
Oh, you hung it up. So what position do you play in baseball?
So I'd probably say utility because I moved around a lot, but I caught. And I caught most throughout high school, and then my senior year I just DH'd.
All right.
So I got a really good seat to the game, and I'd hit 3 or 4 times, and I'd come back and
Nice.
yeah.
Absolutely. So, David, what else did you do in high school?
I played basketball from my freshman year to my junior year. I don't like basketball that much.
No.
No. But besides that, I was in an agriculture program, a magnet program.
Nice.
Agriculture.
Really?
Yeah.
In Las Vegas?
Yeah, we had a greenhouse. Yeah.
I was going to say, what do you grow in sand?
Yeah. What do you grow in sand? You guys like walking through there going like, that's the best cactus I've ever.
Yeah.
Well, I heard that, in sandy soils, things like pumpkins do well.
We actually did have pumpkins.
Oh.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh,
See,
all
I know
right.
what I'm talking about.
There we go.
That's like the most useless.
So useless.
Yeah. What are you doing with that? Making pumpkin pies?
Jack and
Getting the seeds?
Well, you ever been around in October? Because there's a high demand for pumpkins.
It's a gourd.
Las Vegas is actually the second largest city that produces the most pumpkins in the
Is
U.S.
that correct? How do you
No.
know that? That's you say. Listen,
You almost, if I'd have
Listen.
gone with it.
Nope.
No.
Stick with that because I will tell you. Here's a little truth from the military. If you speak with confidence, people will believe you. And even if you're not even close to saying what's accurate, you did a good job there.
There we go.
We're very proud of you, Jimmy.
I only revoked it because it's actually the third. Yeah. Just got caught up in the moment.
The number one
second.
pumpkin growing city actually is Cottage Grove, Minnesota, and I think we
Ooh.
all knew that.
Yep.
Yeah, I was actually up there last weekend.
Were you?
Yeah, they're already growing.
Well, obviously they were, and I like what you did there. Yep, spoken with confidence.
So David, you were involved in ag. Jimmy, what were you involved with that were non-sports related in high school?
I did
I say dance.
mock trial.
Middle school.
What did I do? I remember I did mock trial for sure.
In Mississippi.
The biggest thing I was worried about after sports, yes, like the Matthew McConaughey movie.
Yes, that's what I was just thinking. Like you're in Mississippi and you're like, all right.
Yeah, so I did mock trial, but honestly, whenever I was getting out of a sport, I was just trying to go hunt or fish. Like that was me burning out of the parking lot trying to get somewhere to do that before the sun went down.
What do we hunt down in Mississippi?
Yeah, what do you hunt down there?
Well, we got deer, we got ducks. We pretty much got everything, just not quite as big.
Deer?
We got the small pygmy deer.
There we go.
They're only come up to your knee.
Have you hunted up here?
Oh yeah, that's why I came up here.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Partially.
Nice.
Partially.
You good? Okay.
He's gonna be looking
Good
for
save,
a house
good
up here
save,
pretty soon.
Yeah. We have alligators down there. It's like the big.
We don't have those here.
Not yet.
Not necessarily a bad thing.
No. Did you hunt those?
Not yet.
Yes.
True.
Did you leave like the bait out? In
Okay.
the
Okay. Hold on. So you're referring to swamp people, right?
I'm in. Love that
Yeah.
show.
I don't know how
Shoot 'em, Lisbeth.
alligators are hunted. I just saw it on TV one time.
Right. So Mississippi, it's completely different from Louisiana.
Can
Those
you
guys
shoot them?
cheat. So here's the thing: you can, but
Uh-huh.
you have to have them noosed and tied up before
Oh.
you do it. And it's a lottery system, so
Oh, okay.
you have to be a resident of Mississippi, and they'll draw like 800 every year, and you get 2 tags: one over 7 feet and one for under 7 feet, but above 4 feet. And so we've been fortunate enough. We usually put in every year. It's a little expensive.
Yeah.
They make a lot of money doing that. It's a big.
Okay, I got questions.
Yeah, we got questions about
So,
the gators.
okay,
Yeah.
you have to noose them
Yeah,
Also,
so-
before
does
you
the-
shoot
So
them.
does the desert guy.
Right.
So wait a minute. So you've got this angry beast.
It's a reptile.
Yep. That's got nothing but teeth and power,
Mhm.
and you're gonna noose it. So I assume that
No,
goes
That's
around
just-
the neck.
No, you
Right.
just tape or you noose it or you thought you
Yeah,
taped their
so
mouth closed?
there's like 3 or 4 different ways to do it. The most common way people do is they use a big fishing pole with a real heavy line. You have a weighted treble hook, and you'll try and cast over their back and hook them.
Uh-huh.
And then so basically you're fighting it like a big fish. But once
Yeah.
you get it close to the boat, you then have to put a wire noose around its neck, because you don't want to get one that's 6 feet 11 inches. Or, my bad, 7 feet 1 inch, and
Yeah.
then that's your big gator. Everybody's trying to go and get a big one so they can bragging rights and such. But you can do it with a fishing pole. You can do it with a bow. Have a rope attached to the arrow, attached to a buoy.
Yeah.
You fight them like that.
But you're there when it happens. So it's
Yeah.
not like leaving a rotten chicken.
No. This
hanging
you
out
go
in
out
the
at
street.
night. It's all at night because
Okay.
you have
You
to
can
use a
see their
spotlight to
eyes?
see their eyes.
Yep.
Absolutely. And yeah, you have to be hands on.
Okay.
And then the other thing that David probably be good at is you can harpoon them if you can get close enough.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like this is where the zombie.
You bring
Right.
David, and you can be about 53 meters away.
That's a game changer down there.
It
you
is.
know?
That would be a huge game changer.
That's huge.
But you would you still have to have them wrapped up in a cable?
Yes.
to do that? So you can't even harpoon them
that
until
seems dangerous.
No, you can harpoon them. You just have to get them wrapped with the noose. That's try to prevent it sinking to the bottom, and then
Yeah.
you're sitting there trying to fish it out.
Right.
No pun intended.
No. Yeah, but
off the
that's what,
bottom.
is it really deep? Like, is the swamp deep?
Oh, so in some bends in the river, or if they have any dams, then yeah, it can get to like where am I thinking of? I'm thinking of Cumbus Bluffs over in Wade, Mississippi,
Mhm.
right
Yeah,
across the
been there.
river
That's a
from.
good time.
Yeah, you've been down to Cumbus Bluff. Yeah,
Oh yeah, I fished there all the
I
time.
remember when you were there.
Yep.
Well,
But-
you guys saw each other, but is it deep there?
Yeah, it can get to like 60 feet in that one bend
That is-
I'm thinking of.
But
That's
the gators
crazy.
don't go 60 feet down.
No, they don't really like the busy traffic, and it's kind of more they're in the marsh or they're back up. They like to be left alone,
Okay.
but they will snag
But
somebody's
like
dog.
most places where gators are, is that like waist deep or how deep is it? I always see the movies where like they're going through the swamp and they've
Yeah.
got the
It's like knee
trees
deep.
and yeah.
No, like,
And you're like, how
Right.
deep is that actually? Because,
Yeah.
Iowans have no perception of depth on a lake unless it's like Okoboji. We're like, well, it's 180 feet deep here in the middle, but
130.
or whatever, but that's because there was a glacier there. But we know there's no glaciers down by the Gulf of Mexico, so we don't know how deep it is. And we think it's only like, when we see pond scum, which is what we think swamps are, we assume that it's only like 1.5 feet deep.
Right. So the swamp can be a lot. It floods a lot. So obviously the water going through, it's eroding a lot of things. But out in the marsh, you go a little bit past the swamp, you're getting into the marsh. That's where it looks like it'd be waist deep, knee deep, but then you sink 2 feet when you.
Yeah, because of the
Absolutely.
degrading. Yeah.
And then you can't really move away. So
And then they got you.
basically, yeah.
Well, that settles it for me. I'm going to do my gator hunting in Louisiana.
Because you can shoot them?
I just shoot them.
Shoot them.
He said you can shoot them, but you have to be there.
Well, you got to put something around their mouth, and that's just nothing but teeth.
I mean, can you imagine how thrilling that would be, though? I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
gotta
Like,
be
we've had a
thrilling.
gator break teeth off in the boat. They're pissed when you hook them.
Yeah.
So you get them up next to the boat, they're even more pissed. They got
Yeah.
bright lights in their eyes. We had one bite the side of the boat, and there was teeth broke off in the boat. So that
Yeah.
was pretty cool,
Yeah, but it's
So-
still scary.
You can sell those.
Yeah, yeah.
You can sell those teeth for like $3-4 a piece. So growing up in Vegas, I mean, there's all sorts of things to do. Like, what was like a typical night in high school like for you growing up?
Did
in
you
Las
go to the
Vegas?
pawn shop? I don't know what happens in Vegas, but it stays
What happens in Vegas? Yeah, I was going to say.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Just went out,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just went out.
Shenanigans.
Yeah. Shenanigans. A lot of
Yeah.
shenanigans.
Jimmy, what brought you to Waldorf? How did that happen to get from Sterling to Forest City, Iowa?
Yeah, so I went back to Pearl River, and I actually only spent a semester there and just started getting calls from coaches. I had been putting some film out, film I already had, 7-on-7 film from there. And I really loved and enjoyed my time at Pearl River, to be honest. And just calls started coming in. And towards the end of it, towards the end of the summer, I got a call from Coach Finley. So I'd already left Pearl River, and it was the summertime, and I was deciding whether I wanted to go back or go to a 4-year school. And this is going to sound a little bad, but I was at work, and I just glanced down. I thought I recognized the area code, and I thought it was another coach that had been recruiting me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I answered the call, and I was like, "Oh, what's
Little
up, coach?"
catfish in there.
Yeah, and so he started talking to me, and I was like, "Haven't we already had this conversation?"
Right.
He's doing the whole introductory thing,
Right.
And then I was like, "Oh snap!" This isn't. This is a different coach. So
Which coach was that?
it was Coach Finley.
He like slides.
Which
in there
coach
under the
did you
radar.
think it was?
Boom.
I thought it was a coach
I
from.
thought it was Nick Saban. And
Yeah, so I had a scheduled call with Dabo Sweeney that afternoon at 4 p.m. and he just called me at 3:58, and I thought he was a couple minutes early, and
he got you.
yeah, he got me. And then I declined Dabo's call and just started. No, but
No, he owned that one. I was pretty proud of him. He
Yeah.
just- he went all in.
Yeah, he did.
it was
Yeah.
actually a coach.
I bought that hook, line, and sinker. I was just going with it.
Bullhead.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It was actually a coach from Kentucky Christian University, I thought it was, which they were in my top 2, Waldorf and Kentucky Christian. So,
So thank
What
God.
did you like about what Finley had to say?
he just kept it real with me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I used to do door-to-door sales in Nashville last summer.
yeah?
So
What did you sell?
I sold pest control.
This is getting
I
better.
love it.
This is getting better the whole time.
Yeah, this is.
You know what they say, if you can sell pest control, you can sell anything. But
Nobody's
let
ever
me
said
tell
that
you,
to me.
like being recruited, you kind of get a feel for when a coach is
When they lying to you.
right, when they're just recruiting you.
Yeah.
That's quote I did in air quotes, nobody could see it, but
Yeah.
and then you kind of get a feel with coaches that just keep it real. They're just telling you about it. They're kind of being 100% upfront and honest with you, unlike these Army recruiters.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you. Those liars.
I know it, and
I know one of those.
Yeah.
for everybody that doesn't know, Troy is a retired Army recruiter.
I was a recruiter for the Army National Guard. So, those Army recruiters are large.
Get you every time.
Big large.
But just feeling that connection ever since the first phone call, it's kind of just built a connection with him. And I thought, I should probably go visit this school and meet this guy face to face. So I ended up coming on my visit 2 weeks before report date. And I met with the coaches.
What did you see in Waldorf?
Corn.
Opportunity. I really like the small college feel. I've been and toured some bigger schools, and I felt like for myself, knowing myself, it'd have been real easy to get lost in the day-to-day, all the partying and everything like that. And I'm more of a homebody. I'm kind of really introverted. So having a small town, that was right up my alley.
Okay.
And not to mention that, it really hit it off with Coach in person as well. We went out to eat, just talking defense with him, and I like the scheme that we run. So that was a big thing. And I also did go scout some public land when I came on my visit,
Yeah, of course you did. We'll show you around some more.
Oh, we can
There you
get you
go.
on some good ground.
Yeah. He seems like, Coach Finley he does care about what you have to say. He's actually interested in you. And that doesn't mean that he's interested in your opinion, but he's interested in you.
Bingo.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I think that's genuine.
Yeah, and that's
That's
what
hard
set
to
him
replicate. You can't just fake that.
It set him apart from a lot of the other coaches who were just like, all right, we want this guy, let me make a phone call, He would call me doing random stuff, and he's like, yeah, I'm just out in my yard, and I was
He'll tell
mowing
you what he's
grass.
doing,
and
yeah.
So,
Just put Barrett down.
Yeah,
right, I just put my kids down for a
My wife
nap.
is really on me right now. She said I should call you. And
Callie's in charge. We know
That's
that.
our real head coach.
We've heard that a few
Ten
times.
toes.
We're gonna have an episode.
Yeah, I can't wait. We're going to have to have Will and his beautiful bride, Callie, here at the same time just to see who's really in charge. So, David, your experience coming out of high school and ending up at Waldorf University, how was that? And tell us the ins and outs.
So out of high school, so my junior year, I went to Southern Utah University for like a camp, and I hit it off with their defensive coordinator, and I thought everything was gonna go smooth. And then came to my senior year, didn't really hear nothing from them. I had looks for Weber State or Weber State, however you want to say it, Utah. Didn't really hear nothing from them, and then my O-line coach's son played O-line for Waldorf. His name is Frankie Contreras when he was here.
Yes.
Yep. I remember that name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and,
Frankie.
And so he's like, we could get you there. And so I took a visit, stayed at Frankie's house, met a whole bunch of the players. They was like, come here. It's a pretty cool place. And at first I was like, nah, I didn't want to come because it was so small. And I'm a city dude. But I came, and I can't make any regrets or anything.
So at what point did you know on your trip out here, or after you left? Like, what point did you know that you were coming?
All right. So you want to know?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Great question.
So we stayed for a weekend, and I remember we were in the dorms, having fun in the dorms, and then we went to this place called the Mosley Mansion.
Oh Lord!
Oh.
And it was Mosley's house, and it was like this party or whatever, and it was Turnt. It was amazing.
With a T at the end.
Turnt.
But I still don't know what it means.
Turnt means like it's like lit or
It was a lot of fun.
Okay.
everything's on.
Yeah,
the
yeah. Okay, I got you.
Troy, they were having a good time.
Oh, you were rocking. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
We had it.
Yeah. All right.
I
It
speak
was a pretty
Malay.
good. It was a pretty good shindig.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, a
Yeah. There you
shindig.
go. Whoa. Was it? Now you're dipping back.
Alan Jackson once said, "We're having a good time."
Yes.
Yeah.
And he said it in that way.
Was it a soiree? That's what I want to know. Was it a soiree?
That's too fancy for me.
So you go to the
It wasn't a
mansion.
soiree.
No, okay.
Turnt.
But yeah, we went to the mansion, and like all the football dudes, like they just brought us in as their own. It's like, oh, these are new recruits. Come
Okay.
talk to my boys, and then some girls, And
That helps.
Yeah.
yes, sir. And then after that, I was like, it doesn't seem like a bad place, It seems it's really, what's that word I'm looking for? It had really good camaraderie,
That wasn't at Waldorf, though.
No, that was not at Waldorf.
Yeah.
no.
All right. So Waldorf.
Pretty much, we just met the football players. I met the football players, met Coach Chop, Coach Perisher. Finley wasn't here. It was literal.
Because now you're in Iowa.
Oh, literal, yeah.
I mean, I was.
So it felt like home. It
Yeah.
felt like family getting
Yeah,
to the
there we go.
university. Yeah.
There we go.
So one of the
that's
things
the
about
best
Waldorf is that, you come in here, you got 120 or so folks on the roster
Yes.
to start the season in the fall. But it's an opportunity because we're small.
It's a culture shock for.
Well, we're the best small college football experience in America.
That's what we say.
And it's true.
I believe it.
But the reality is that you can be a big fish in a small pond. You go to in Vegas with a class of 600, 700, 800 classmates that you're going to graduate with. It's like, yeah, you stood out, but at the same time, when you walked across that stage to get your high school diploma, it's not like, David. Well, hopefully they did, but like not a lot of people.
Well, it took forever.
Necessarily knew who you were. There's probably people you graduated
3 hours.
Mm-hmm. That's too long.
Yeah. And there's probably people you graduated with from high school that you didn't know and they didn't know your
Yeah,
name.
there was a lot of people that was like that. I would walk through after the graduation. We'd go back to the same room, like this one room before we can leave to go see our parents and everything. And I'm looking at people like, I've never seen you a day in my life. Like, what are you talking about?
That's amazing.
You went.
Yeah.
Were you FFA?
I don't know even.
You would know.
Future farmers of America.
And definitely not. So,
No.
all right.
No.
I'm a chicken farmer.
Mm-hmm.
So like eggs or
I don't even believe. Now I can't believe anything that he said.
No, this is
He
serious.
says it so
This is
confidently.
serious.
I believe
so
him.
talk about chicken farming.
Yes, you work on that.
Yeah, so I lived out on, everybody up here calls it an acreage. Well, we just say how many acres we have down there.
How many acres do you have down there?
Oh, okay. 6 acres, right? So,
Is that it? Anyway.
well, it's not about the size of the acreage. It's about,
No. You
See?
can't even pull that. You can't even pull that. No,
Don't
sir.
try it.
no, you can't pull anything. Yeah, so I'd always, my mom had grown up on a farm, and so she always wanted to introduce me to that kind of stuff. She felt like it built character and appreciation for animals,
I agree. Yep.
So just, me being real small, I think my dad was overseas. I must have been 2 or 3. We got like a few chickens, and from that it went to me being like 6 years old, going to the Santa at the mall and telling him I want chickens for Christmas and stuff like that. And it just kind of kept growing and growing. And we ended up going down to the county fair, the Jackson County Fair, and we started showing chickens. This was, my grandpa was all about this too, because he had grown up on a farm and then kind of moved away from that when he moved to Pascagoula. And then so he was re-experiencing his childhood with me.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. And we actually won grand champion with a pair of blue end illusions. It's a type of chicken.
I know what it is.
Okay.
I'm glad you told me.
And so, yeah, I would name them all. His name was George. But anyway, so we started out with like 6, and then I think we were at like 200 or 300 at one time at the height of the chicken era at the Bates household. And so now it's kind of, I'm out in college and my brother's in high school now and he's doing all his sports. So we probably only have around 50 to 80 now, but they're all free range and we'll collect the eggs and sell them and stuff like that. So it's a neat little thing to do. And it really, like, time management, saying, okay, I got to go pick up chicken eggs before school, like that.
Right.
I feel like has helped me as I get older in life, just that base foundation of time management and stuff. And then also it was doing hard work and not getting paid for it too around the house, right? It really makes you appreciate certain things in life.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you learned is that whether it's, whether hard work gets results, effort and pride in what you do. And even what you do seems like it's not that significant, but it is important. If to nobody else but you, that's critical. Because if you aren't proud of what you do, I'm not sure what you're doing it for. And you should, and if you have a job that you don't want to do, you should still be proud of what you do, because you should do it to the best of your ability. The truth is that blood and mud and poop, washes off. And I learned that as a farm kid, here in Forest City. That is an incredibly valuable lesson for me, because no matter what stinky job I have, no matter what terrible thing I might have to do, no matter what risk I might have taken in my military career, whatever it was, is like I knew, or when I played football, and I was not like you guys. I mean, I wasn't good enough to play at the next level. So I didn't go beyond high school. But I will tell you that, like, there's, blood on the knuckles, blood on the, whatever it happens to be, like, it washes off if you can live through it.
Right. And that's exactly right. And, I can recall a few times where I'd be running behind and I'd go to school with chicken crap on my shoes, and you're feeling like, oh man, but then you kind of, you go knock it off and you own it. Like, yeah, that's what I do. And you go through a weird spot in like middle school when everybody starts, getting into different things and you want to be with the cool crowd. And I really feel like growing up on a farm like that helped me to stay true to my roots. This is who I am. This is what I do.
It's hard to be in the cool crowd when you got chickens or pigs. I do know when I was growing up, it was hard because like we didn't know we were poor in the 80s. We didn't know we were poor. No idea. Until we found out we were poor from folks who weren't. And then that was pointed out to us. And then we came home and you felt so bad. I get what you're saying.
So, David, what do we do to let our hair down? What do we do when we relax from the time you were in high school to now?
I'd swim. I'd hang out with friends, probably family members. I mean, that was pretty much that, because like Vegas is expensive. It's like really expensive.
Yeah.
Even going to like the Adventure Dome is low-key expensive.
What's the Adventure Dome?
It's like an amusement park that's indoors.
Last time I was out there was 1984, which was an Olympic year in Los Angeles. And they had all sorts of Olympic stuff, and I figured out how to win this game. Ended up with a jacket.
I feel like Frank Sinatra was still playing in 1984 in Las Vegas.
Fly me to the moon.
I told you would sing.
See?
Oh, the voice of an angel,
Like
David
the fact
Warren.
that you know some Frank Sinatra.
Yes, sir.
We win.
So you hang out with friends. Do you guys like? I mean, I
Go
always
to
get.
movies, drive-in movies, go out to eat.
All right, best movie you've ever seen. The best movie ever.
That's
Your
really
favorite.
hard.
Probably like some Medea movies, if y'all know who Medea is.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Yeah.
like the live action like play ones, those are kind of funny.
Oh,
All right, what's the best action movie?
John Wick by far. Get off.
Oh yeah.
John Wick by far. Don't at me, Jimmy.
You know what?
Don't at me.
3 years ago, Andy, I would not have agreed with him because I had not seen John Wick.
Great
seen all
series
John
of
Wick.
movies.
I've seen them all.
Yep, me too. How about sci-fi?
Avatar, James Cameron Avatar with all like the blue people, like super tall.
They're
All right,
coming
well-
out with a new movie this
Mhm.
December.
It's not wrong.
I'd probably say
Yeah.
the first Transformers for me.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. That
Movie.
just did something for me,
Yep. Where do you guys rest on Star Wars?
I'm actually watching the new Obi-Wan Kenobi spinoff that came out right now.
Have you gone through and watched all the Star Wars movies?
I can describe it in one word.
Okay.
And watching all of those was very painful.
Mm.
As far as our generation has got accustomed to the, everything looks so real. And then just watching Little Green Yoda there was...
Yeah. Well,
who's a
this
puppet.
show's over. So
I was gonna say, thanks for coming, guys. But as soon as you start talking bad about Star Wars, we're gonna have words. If I was 40 years younger, I might kick your butt.
My goodness. You know what? He's not wrong though. Like I look at the shows.
You're dead to me too.
I look
Even George Lucas came out and said that he wished he could have done better with the...
It was 1977.
70. Yeah,
77 was the first one. I saw it in the theater.
Yeah.
I did.
I didn't know it was old. I didn't know when, but I knew it was old. Yeah.
Yeah. And they've made it better since like the version you saw is better than what he saw. So
Well,
Making
yeah,
progress.
that's true. But I'll tell you what, I still remember watching and oh my gosh, can't believe I say this. I was home for some reason.
Yeah.
Watching Donahue.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys will have to
Phil Donahue, you'll have to Google.
You'll have to Google that. And they had Mark Hamill and Carrie.
Yep.
Last name?
No.
Yep, me either. Princess Leia.
Yeah.
And they showed a little clip of an X-wing and a TIE fighter fighting in space, and I thought, no, yeah, I got to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen every one of those movies. And I'm a nut when it comes to Star Wars. So the fact that you said that, Jimmy, I used to love you, but
You know, I think you still can. I don't think it's look, generations do change. My own kids, I've got quite a gap between the first two and the last two, and I can tell you that the first two have seen, because I made them, seen the episodes in order, and then now the last two are like, well, which episodes are you talking about? Because Disney has made it 6 million different versions, and we don't know what to do.
So, Jimmy, what's the best comedy movie?
I'm a big Jim Carrey fan, so probably any of his. Bruce Almighty, yeah, that was good. Ace Ventura.
Yes.
Oh, Ace
Ventura,
Ventura, you bet.
Yeah, I'm just a big fan of his.
What's your action movie? Is it John Wick as well?
You know, John Wick is really, really good. I'm a big fan of Keanu Reeves. And what really does it for me is if I really like the actor when he's not acting. So, you know, sometimes I'll watch a movie and then I'll see an actor out in person and then they're doing something. I'll have a mindset or an imagination that they're that person. And then not that there's anything wrong with the person that they are. It's just not who I envision them to be.
Yeah.
So
Ryan Reynolds, any Ryan Reynolds movie you would like?
Deadpool.
Yeah, that's true. You are
Deadpool.
exactly right. Yep, he does not change. Actually, I don't think he acts. He's just
No, he doesn't. The scene where he was talking to that bartender, that was just a skit.
That's just him.
They were just going back and forth.
Yeah.
So Jim Carrey and Keanu Reeves, knowing who they are off the set, and that really does it for me. That helps me appreciate them more on screen.
I'm going to send you a way that you're not going to expect. If you have a chance, Amazon or however you get there, check out McClintock. It's a John Wayne movie. It's my favorite John Wayne movie. A lot of people have John Wayne movies that they're fans of. John Wayne's from Iowa. But
Winterset.
McClintock to me is one of my favorite John Wayne movies because of just like that character of being a dad, being a ranch owner, being an adult, also being, just check it out. You'll like it. And I think it's funny. And I think it's also a good testament to the American character. The other one that would go with John Wayne is True Grit.
Oh, yeah.
But I will say True Grit with John Wayne is not as good as the 2012 version of True Grit.
Yeah,
which is way better.
I've seen that one. It's really good.
And if you have seen that.
Yeah,
have you
I have.
seen that?
No, sir.
All right, check it out.
And I will say Clint Eastwood is probably one of my other ones. So I really appreciate Jim Carrey with all of his comedy. But just something about, I found Clint Eastwood when he does that dry humor, you know, somebody might say something, he'll look at him and kind of scoff. I get a good kick out of that, you know. So I really like his films.
So have you seen Every Which Way But Loose?
What year did that come out?
Well, it's
it was
like
probably
a long time
4.
ago. 73, 74. Every Which Way.
I haven't seen that one.
There's also Every Which Way.
That was
like 3 of them.
That was even before Smoking the Bandit.
Look,
Have seen that.
there's an
great
orangutan
movie.
involved. So
well then yes, I have seen that movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Left Turn, Clyde.
yeah, left
Yeah.
turn. Yeah.
Oh, David.
David's
you looking
like,
at me
I
like
got
that?
nothing. I got
So,
nothing.
David, if I had to ask you, what is the best old movie you've ever seen? Old movie.
Old movie?
Old movie. The oldest movie that you actually enjoyed.
Charlie Chaplin.
Charlie
It
Chaplin.
was like a
Okay.
Charlie Chaplin
Yeah.
movie.
That is
All right.
old.
Now you're
getting into the silent
you're getting
movies.
pretty old there.
Did y'all
that
know
was
that he was only 5'3"?
That's like you're really reaching into the treasure trove there.
Yeah.
Like this is the winner.
Yeah.
But what's the name?
Oh, it's gonna be tough.
I bet it's the Tramp, and we'll come back
It'd be
to
The
it.
Tramp,
You
yep.
can check with your phone if that's the case. I will
Yeah.
say,
No, I think
Andy,
you're right. No, I think you're right.
What?
it is my favorite brunette, and that is Bob Hope.
One of my
brunette.
favorite very old movies is a war movie
Yeah.
from World War II, Tora Tora Tora.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh, that's a
Is that with John Wayne? Or?
no, it's not. It's basically about the Japanese invasion of Hawaii, and it's just it talks about stuff, and there's a line in there that talks about the one of the generals or the admirals from Japan saying, "I fear that we have awakened a sleeping
Giant.
giant." Jimmy, I want to hear about your family. Talk about them.
Yeah, so I have 2 sisters and 1 brother. My sisters are older. They're 35 and 33, so I had a bunch of nieces and nephews running
Really
around.
old.
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't appreciate that, but and then I got a little brother who's 14. He's turning 15 here July 6th.
Does he look up to you?
I'd like to think so.
I like how you said that with not the same confidence that you said other things today.
I try to lead, do a good example for him, before I go and post anything too crazy or say something, like always have somebody watching you, whether it be my own younger brother or just younger people than me who played with me in school ball,
Yeah.
And so my mom and dad, my dad's from Pascagoula, Mississippi, and my mom is from the state of Maine. And they ended up meeting through work in Goshen, Mississippi, which is right next to Van Cleve. And yeah. So my mom, from where she grew up, there was a park service just across the street. And she started working there, and then she became just working parks and nature conservancies, and she became a wildland firefighter.
Yeah.
And she always wanted to travel and see different parts of the world. So in that job, fighting wildfires, they have them all over. You can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so my dad, he was in the National Guard. He joined right out of high school.
Love it.
And
Good job. Like your dad.
so after he got out of basic, he had a few job opportunities, and he really likes working in the outdoors. So he became a heavy equipment operator and game warden for the United States Fish and Wildlife Service.
Okay.
And they ended up working at the same place at Mississippi Sandhill Crane National Wildlife Refuge in Goshen, Mississippi.
Man, if I had music up. Mississippi and Maine, I think that's a awesome situation.
Yeah, no, it is really cool. I'm fortunate enough to be able to go and visit my family in Maine, and I think it's beautiful up there,
Yeah,
and
it is.
we're on the coast. My uncle's a lobster fisherman, so it's really, really cool to get out and go with him, and just so much that it has to offer that you wouldn't necessarily think of when you think of Maine, right?
Right.
Lobster pots.
Being in Iowa, being in Maine, it's kind of more of a slower pace.
Yes.
And you can go and relax. People
said it
go to
better than
sleep
me.
when the sun goes down,
Yeah.
and you're up when the sun comes up,
Yes.
and it's a slower pace. You stop and enjoy more,
Yeah. Yeah.
rather than go all the time.
If you're up when the sun comes up in Iowa, it's because you have something to do, or you don't. And if you don't have anything to do and you go sit on your patio, it's like you're on vacation. If you do have something to do, 2 hours later, the world wakes up.
Mm-hmm. You just feel like you have so much. I
you've
work
done
at Winnebago right now, and I have
Very
to be there at 4:55 to
Yeah.
sign in. So the sun's coming up when I get up, and you just feel like you've accomplished so much.
Yeah.
Even by like 3:30,
David, let's talk a little bit about your family real quick.
So I lived with my grandma, my auntie, and my brother Deshaun. I have like 10 siblings though.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
All right, name your siblings.
You ready?
Yep.
Courtney, Kwame, Caleb. We have Deshaun, me. Okay, well, can I count myself in this?
Yes.
Yo, please do.
Me.
You're important.
We have a Keontae, because I didn't name that.
Okay.
Then we have Anthony, Antonio, we have Kajane, and we have Kamisha.
There's 10.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
So how's Christmases at your house? Crazy?
So we all don't live like in the same area. So my brother Deshaun's in Georgia. Caleb, Courtney, and Kwame are in Omaha, Nebraska. Oh, and Kamisha and Keontae, my fault. In Omaha, Nebraska. Antonio's in Nevada. And then Anthony, yeah, we don't know where he's at.
Big family, and that's
Huge family.
fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. I suppose it's nice to have some family relatively close in the Omaha area so they can either come up and see you or
Do
you
they
can
come
see
up?
them.
Should we guilt them into that?
They should really come to Waldorf.
Why aren't you coming to
If you're
Waldorf?
watching the podcast, the Warren family, please come up here.
We've covered this more than once. We talk about it every episode. Waldorf is special. We can't make you Iowans, and there's no guarantee that you'll be Iowans. but we hope that you take a little bit of Iowa with you.
Sounds amazing, actually. Like going to DG, I can see someone, you're like, oh, you go to Waldorf? You know my son? Or you know my nephew? And it's like, yeah, I know. And that's kind of warming.
Yeah, this place will, Waldorf University, gentlemen, and not just for the two of you, but for your teammates as well. You will have an affinity for Forest City, Iowa, and Waldorf University throughout your days, and we're proud of that. We're very proud of that. And the thing is, Troy has said it time and time again that while you're here, you're ours, and we're going to take care of you. We're going to make sure that the things that you need, the questions you need answered, we're going to do that. We take that role extremely seriously, not just with the GridIron Club, but with as a member of the community here in Forest City. And hopefully, while you're here, you feel that love, because Waldorf football is a very special thing, as you guys know, more than us. But at the same time, from an outsider looking in, what you guys do on the field is great. What you do in the classroom is important, but at the end of the day for us is that we want to send you out into this world to be successful. And we're going to do anything in our power to make sure that that happens. And that's part of being this community. So you will always be part of Waldorf University. You will always be part of Forest City, and you will always have a very special place in our hearts. So with that, I'm going to wrap up this episode of the Waldorf GridIron Podcast. I want to thank Jimmy Bates and David Warren for joining us tonight.
Yo.
Absolutely, and I couldn't have said it better myself, David. Thank you. But thanks for joining us. And remember, if you feel so inclined, please donate to the Waldorf GridIron Club. Mail your checks to P.O. Box 125 in Forest City, Iowa, 50436. And we will put anything that you give us to very, very good work for these very fine young men doing God's work on the football field. So, for Andy Buffington and Troy Thompson, we thank you for listening to this episode of the Waldorf GridIron Podcast. Go Warriors. You can join the Waldorf GridIron Club today by sending a check to the Waldorf GridIron Club, P.O. Box 125, Forest City, Iowa, 50436.
Or message us by visiting and like our Facebook page, Waldorf GridIron Club. Or email us at waldorfgridironclub@gmail.com.
Or it's as easy as clicking on the Support the Show link on your phone. Become a patron of the GridIron Club by choosing to support the program monthly. $100 is the Black membership at $9 a month.
The $250 level is Purple at $25 a month.
$500 is the Warrior membership at $45 a month.
The All-Conference level is $750 or $65 a month.
$1,000 is the All-American membership at $85 a month.
The Champion level is $125 a month, and that's $1,500 a year.
$2,500 is the Hall of Fame membership.
The Waldorf GridIron Club Podcast is hosted by Andy Buffington and me, Troy Thompson. Produced by Sunnyside Farmstead Studios in beautiful rural Forest City, Iowa. The music is by Christian Leo. The Waldorf GridIron Club is a non-profit 501c3 organization dedicated to football student-athletes of Waldorf University. Our mission is to assist the program in maintaining the best small college football experience in America.